Do you or someone you love have bipolar? Sometimes we hear that word and we try to run away from it, reject it, like my next guest is going to say. I want to thank Sean for his vulnerability in sharing his bipolar diagnosis, but also how it has allowed him to be his authentic self. That is true mental strength. Watch.
And to be honest, yes, it can impact your career. I was medically retired, so yes. However, the career, what I like to think of is that the career, that was one season of my life, right? Fortunately, I was able to get to 20 years, but even if I hadn't, right, that was a season, and I needed, to some degree, that bipolar to bring me to who I am today. Hi there, my name is Sean Sindler. I'm a retired Air Force veteran, and I do have bipolar II disorder, as well as ADHD. And I'm here today because I have found help through Depression and Bipolar Support Alliance, through their free weekly peer support group. Started with the Veterans Group, and I've become a facilitator, and then a board member doing outreach, and now president of the local chapter.
Whew. Thank you. Thank you for helping so many people. That is great. And thank you for being willing to be vulnerable here.
Yeah.
So tell us, what shaped you as on this journey? I don't know, when you got the diagnosis, when you realized that maybe you needed some external help.
Yeah, it was not at the standard, most people are getting it in their early 20s, I think, late teens, and so I do have some concern for my children. But for me, I did have my first significant depression when I was at that age. I had left home, I was at college, but I didn't even know the word depression at that point, had no idea. And then joined the Air Force, and then was off to the races sort of in that. And it wasn't until after my mother passed away in 2016, through that grief process, that I got into my first mania session, or hypomania. And I knew, whoa, this is weird. I thought, whoa, Sean 2.0 or something. It was like, what is going on?
So explain to our listeners, what this hypomania is from a perspective of a person experiencing it.
Yeah, so number one, just constant racing thoughts. Just like you can't turn your brain off. And then when I slept, I would get maybe 6 hours, probably less than that, and yet feel like 100% refreshed, just super high energy all day. And then of course eventually, it runs down, and so you do have to rest. But turning the brain off is really hard. You speak super fast because you're trying to talk and do things a mile a minute. You can't just sit down and relax. Also, guardrails in terms of safety and went out the window, using your phone while you're driving, and just spending money.
That's the first time I've heard someone explain it like that, and I love that. Like that. You don't have your guardrails up. You don't really. It's not even just impulsivity, because some people think impulsivity, right?
Yeah. Well, impulsivity is a thing too.
Right.
But yeah, it's just like you have this feeling that you're invincible, or you could be God, or you could be president of the United States or something. I literally, I went back to who was my neighbor and landlord when I was in Germany when this was all initially happening, and they asked me, well, what are you doing, or what do you plan to do after you get out of the Air Force or something like that? And I'm like, oh, I'll be president. I don't know.
But you are president of the local chapter.
Well, yeah. But you just have these grandiose thoughts. I thought, oh, well, I should be Inspector General of the whole base, and I was a captain at the time. It doesn't really make sense. But yeah, it's a feeling of you feel amazing, right? And you don't feel like you need the sleep. You can't even get the sleep. You're like, I know I need sleep, so you try to get to sleep and you can't. And then you do finally fall asleep, and your body just wakes you up.
Could somebody have intervened at that point? And the reason I ask is I get a lot of calls from, and it just so happens to be active duty spouses calling me concerned about the behavior of their spouse.
It's good that they're calling you. I think
Yeah.
that's great.
But they kind of feel powerless because they're scared of messing up the career of the person. And there's oftentimes a lack of insight in when you're hypomanic.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah,
that you
exactly.
need help.
I mean, if I had insight, I would know I wouldn't be president of the United States, right? Like, absolutely, yeah. And so you can have incoherent thoughts, and you take one thought, and then you just keep going down the rabbit trail on it. So yeah, there absolutely is help. I mean, first of all, in the military, they have what they call MFLACs. I'm trying to remember the name of what it stands for, but basically it's a therapist that you can see anonymously for free for, I think, up 3 to 6 sessions, something like that, and then...
So that's what you would encourage the spouse to encourage?
Yeah, and honestly, well, so first of all, here locally, we have our Veterans Peer Support Group, and veteran includes active duty, Guard and reservists. So for every Tuesday night at Mount Carmel, I mean, if they're here locally, they can come. We also have a family and friends group, because that's super stressful on the spouse, right? And so, and if Tuesday night doesn't work, we have adult groups. We have a women's group, a seniors, teen and young adults, anyway, faith-based group, multiple adult groups, and so forth. And so I'd say in terms of getting the kind of help that we provide, the peer support stuff, if you're concerned about, yes, they're probably in a manic state or even in a depressed state. They may not want to go themselves, so maybe you need to go to relieve your own stress, is just go. And then once you've gone, then you can see, hey, this is how it goes. And then maybe that will make it easier for you to get your spouse to go. But also realize that we're 100% confidential. So nothing is going to go on your record. You don't even have to say your name if you show up. We don't keep track of who's there. We don't take notes. So, but I know that there are other resources for folks while they're in the military. And to be honest, yes, it can impact your career. I was medically retired. So yes. However, the career, what I like to think of is that the career, that was one season of my life, right? Fortunately, I was able to get to 20 years, but even if I hadn't, right, that was a season, and I needed, to some degree, that bipolar to bring me to who I am today. And so...
I love that. I love that because it's often thought of as a dirty word or, a negative thing. So tell us about that epiphany, that journey of knowing that that's, just becoming who you are.
Well, yeah, it's allowed me to, when I'm in a manic state, so for several years after the things started happening in 2016, I didn't have a bipolar tag. So I didn't have any appropriate treatment or medication or anything because I didn't even know that I had it, or even when I knew I had it, unless I was diagnosed with it, I couldn't get the treatment. But what I'd say is, like, it would sort of be 2 or 3 steps forward, 1 step back. And so I didn't have any stability times until I got the bipolar tag from the VA, and I was able to start getting appropriate treatment. But I was always, for months at a time, either in a mania or in a depression. I mean, we're talking about 6 to 9 months, off and on. But when I was manic, I was always focused on trying to make myself better, or fix whatever issues were going on, career-wise, family-wise, whatever, just mental-wise. So I was engaged in therapy, and I was trying to do those things. And so But then I'd fall into a depression, and then I would take that step back, right? And then I'd come out of that, I'd get more lessons learned about the triggers that push me into depression, and the ways to control the mania. And then once I got the tag, then, oh my gosh, it's been fantastic over the last few years. It's still been challenging, don't get me wrong.
Right.
Like, I've still had depressive times and manic times, but I've had periods of stability, at least, and I've leaned into who I am and why I think I'm here, right? And so having found that purpose and meaning, that's who I am, right? Like, it needed to be uncovered, and I didn't know what it was years ago, but now I'd like to think I've found it, right? It may be some more uncovering, some more, we'll see where
that's
life
the
takes
journey,
me,
right?
Yeah, the journey.
Yeah. So what have you learned about mental strength in this? Because one of the things that I often teach is people think mental strength is like pushing through, and I teach it as like insight, which this tag for you was insight.
Yeah.
Right? Which makes you actually stronger.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you have to dig in.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you can't be so selfish and self-focused, but you know, there's things that you know that you can do better, right? And so, as opposed to, like you say, pushing yourself, it's more in my kind of letting go to some degree. It's not putting all that on yourself, and anxiety and worry and fear and everything. It's like, no. Things are okay, right? It's just the perspective on that, I think. And then as you feel that, then you can, you know, with therapy, help with the insights of like, oh, okay, that's what this is. Okay.
Yeah, and even with the treatment for the bipolar, you still have to untangle. So that I talk about this a lot in mental strength, is like you have to untangle, like, what is grief, what is trauma, what is the bipolar, and I just need to take my meds, or what is, you know, addiction and things like that, and untangling. Tell us a little bit about your untangling of, you know, life experiences.
Well, there's so many balls we juggle at the same time, or whatever, and so, like you say, there's a lot of things tangled up in there, right? I had the family I grew up in, and then, you know, tried college right after high school, didn't work out because of the depression, joined the Air Force. So then, you know, I had my career. I got married, I had kids. So all of these different roles, you know, my job role, my husband role, my father role, and then who I saw myself as, right? This sort of concept of who I thought I would be, that I wrapped myself up in, and then I was so disappointed when I couldn't be that person, right? Because the bipolar really sort of derailed that career. And so
there's some grief there.
And then, well, yeah, absolutely, which I didn't understand, that grief was more than just when someone dies. But you have to grieve a relationship, you have to grieve a job, you have to grieve
a dream.
Yeah, absolutely. And so being able to process that was huge, to get to a point to accept it, and to not be so angry and disappointed at not having that career anymore. So, and then also the relationship. I mean, my marriage did not survive. Well, I mean, I ended up having to file for divorce 2 years after I retired from the Air Force. But that, again, has allowed me to be who I am. It would have been great if I could have done that while still in the marriage, but unfortunately I had gotten to a point where that was not going to be possible. And so that was, again, grieving that 18-year marriage, you know. And it impacted my relationship with my kids. I mean, the bipolar makes me be a very hard person to be around when I'm manic. And then the depression makes me hard to be around because I'm not doing what people expect me to do, or what I even expect myself to do. I mean, my kids saw me not even getting out of bed for months at a time. And what do kids think about their father when they see that, you know? So
when
there's a lot of
Yeah.
a lot of things in there that have to be sort of pulled apart and looked at separately. And
Yeah. And, a question I always ask people is, like, how did you feel in your childhood? Because we know that a lot of our personality and how we show up in the world was developed before age 7. We also know that bipolar is predominantly biochemical, right? So
genetic.
Yeah. How did your childhood, shape some of how you're showing up as well?
Yeah, it was definitely kind of pushed to be successful. I mean, I displayed that I could do well in school, so there was this expectation. And then my father, who's a veterinarian, it was, like, hey, you gotta be a doctor or a lawyer. Those are the two choices, basically. And it was, I didn't feel pulled in that direction, and so there was this, and I did get into some out-of-state, nicer schools. But no, Dad was, I'll give you a car if you go to the in-state school. So that hook, which then, so I did make that choice. But then later I was so angry at that I didn't want to have anything and didn't want to ever ask my parents for money. Like, I wanted to be 100% self-sufficient, which nobody's self-sufficient. But our culture teaches us that we're supposed to be, particularly as men. Like, we're supposed to be a rock and, not ask for help and not be vulnerable and not cry and all of these things, right? That we grow up just seeing and hearing, whether they're true or not.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, my childhood was happy, generally, except that my parents would argue a lot. My dad was very disrespectful and misogynistic, and I could tell that he was cheating on our mom when I was in middle school. Turned out decades later, when my oldest sister was getting married, that it came out that there was a child out of wedlock, and so he got disinvited to the wedding. It was a whole thing that the family had to deal with, right? And my mom was still alive at that time. So, in general, I would say, but I'm the fourth of 5 kids, so there's 14 years between the oldest and the youngest, and I'm smack in the middle at 7, right? And so my older brother, 18 years older, he was like, he got diagnosed with ADHD, at the normal time as a early teen or so, and he was making trouble and just super big term personality and stuff. So I was like the shy, quiet guy that nobody, in comparison, I was the good kid, sort of. And so, and also with the doing well in school was sort of pushed that, hey, you should be in this, you should have a super successful career and all this, and that was the expectation.
Yeah, and the only reason I go and I delve into these areas is because sometimes we'll hold on to a diagnosis as the problem.
Oh, right.
Like, I'm bipolar, so this is the problem. And medication helps the biochemical, instability, but we still have real life stuff from our childhood that's still showing up.
Right.
And then I also like to encourage people, like, how has your faith done, navigated your journey? How has that helped you? Or
Well, yeah, for many years I didn't really pay a whole lot of attention to it. I grew up in a Presbyterian church. That was my mom's thing, and went to Sunday school. But as an adult, I didn't feel that connected to the Presbyterian church. And so my granddad had been a Unitarian Universalist. And so I checked out at my first duty station in Cheyenne, Wyoming. I checked out the local Unitarian Universalist church, and I thought, wow, this is my thing.
Okay.
So, but I left a year and a half later in Korea. It was, hard to attend in Korea. Then I went to Germany. Then I went back to Korea. Then Oklahoma, I was able to go, but my wife and kids didn't want to go. She was, anyway, so I was having to go away from my wife and kids to go to church. So I didn't go that often because who would make that choice, right? And So I didn't really, until I got here to Colorado Springs, when I was at my last duty station at Peterson, that's when I started going to the Unitarian Universalist Church here in downtown, All Souls. And that I knew, again, this is my place.
Yeah.
And with the bipolar, with the, get super, super busy in mania, and then withdraw from everything in depression, I wasn't going consistently. But then I finally did. In 2022, 2023 timeframe. I'm like, okay, I need this. This is important for me.
Why is it important for you? What does it do for you?
So I read a book about a year ago called Whole Brain Living by Jill Bolte Taylor. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it or not, probably.
And this is why I always ask people about faith, right? Like,
Yeah.
it is part of us. But go on.
I mean, it was already important to me before that, but that book, when it talks about character 4 being your connection to God and spirit, it was like, oh my gosh, wow, this is in all of us, our connection. And so then I started approaching church in a different way. But I also, like, one of the things that I really got out of it, even if I wasn't listening to the service, I was working in the kitchen, like making coffee, and we would do the big table spread. And so that was important. The community and the people kept me going there. But then when I would sit and listen to that, it was just like, oh, it challenged me in a way that you don't get in everyday society, you know, to really think through these larger, grander topics.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're on that journey. So by the time you get to this part of the interview, people that are still listening probably have bipolar, or someone they love has bipolar, right?
Right.
Like, when you're going through YouTube. And
Absolutely,
so what would you say to someone who maybe has bipolar, someone they love has bipolar, and that person is not on a positive journey, let's just say, right? Like,
super common. Yes.
What
that was me.
Yeah.
I mean, so
what would you say to, let's start with the person who either is diagnosed with bipolar or likely has bipolar and hasn't gotten that diagnosis?
Well, first of all, some people may get the diagnosis and then they reject it. And then other people, oftentimes, as you know, will exhibit the signs and symptoms of bipolar and yet not get appropriately diagnosed.
Yeah.
It's the depression or the alcohol addiction or whatever gets diagnosed first.
Yep.
And it could be up to 10 years before they get the actual bipolar diagnosis.
Yeah.
And so I knew for a couple of years before I was able to convince the VA that I knew that I had bipolar just because of looking up the symptoms online. But I would say, first of all, if someone and love is dealing with this, or you see it in yourself, number one is, it's okay. Don't feel ashamed, right? It's not something that is bad that happened to you that, oh my gosh, and it's, yes, it may feel bad because it may be kind of wrecking the life that you thought you were going to have, right? Your career, whatever. But it will get better, number one. It will. I can.
And you can find yourself, like you said. I love that you said you really are able to show up as your authentic self, knowing that that is there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say kind of lean into your strengths. Right? That's what allowed me, like, I'm an outgoing person. I like serving, I like volunteering, I like meeting people and having conversations that mean something and trying new things. But not everybody's like that. But I lean into that now, and because I know that that's how I show up, right? And so everyone has strengths, everyone has things that they're less strong at, right? But find those strengths and engage with them to help you become that person that you're meant to be.
Yeah. Love
Yeah.
it. Well,
I don't know if you meant like specific resources.
No,
there was sort
not
of a more
necessarily.
generic
Yeah,
answer.
we will actually have the DBSA resources in the description. You can explain again that it's support groups for anyone with depression or bipolar.
Or post-traumatic stress,
Okay.
anxiety, because they're all classified as mood disorders. So we
Okay.
just say mood disorders in general.
Okay.
But yeah, the organization is Depression and Bipolar Support Alliance, so
Alliance,
DBSA. But yeah, we understand how anxiety fits into that piece.
Yeah.
Obviously, you do.
Yeah. And what does a support group look like? Like, let's just say I randomly show up. I'm scared. I don't want to even say who I am. What can I expect when I walk into the room where this support group is happening?
Absolutely. So number one, there's going to be a facilitator there, and you'll get welcomed immediately, right? And we have newcomer packets that we can give you that have more further information you can review later. But we're going to start, when I got trained as a facilitator, we have sort of an acronym for, opening a group. So welcome, announcements, introductions, and guidelines. So WAIG. So we always start just welcome to the group. My name is this, and this is what the group is, and then announcements, because we have weekly announcements on what's going on in the chapters and the different groups and stuff. And then we go around and we do introductions. Generally, we'll do name and diagnosis. And then like some sort of icebreaker funny question or something.
Okay.
But again, if you didn't want to share your name, you're not required to. And then we go over our guidelines. We have 8 guidelines just to protect confidentiality, to protect the safety of the members in the group. Everyone gets a chance to speak, but nobody's forced to speak. And nobody will monopolize the time. I mean, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Standard sort of group guidelines, right? Just so it's a safe space for everyone. And then, so we'll check in going around. And sometimes through that check-in, there'll be like a topic that we want to sort of delve more into. Sleep, medication, whatever the case may be, impacts on employment, whatever. And sometimes it's just about sharing. Like those check-ins might take it's 90 minutes long. And then we'll have sort of a wrap-up closing at the end. But it's about as low threat of an environment as you can possibly get.
I like that. We'll end with that, low threat. So the last question is, you personally, what are you still currently learning? What does your journey look like today?
Well, I'm delving more into the spiritual side. So last year I read this book, Hope, by the Pope, Pope Francis, before he died, his autobiography. And oh my God, it's just incredible. Like learning, and then now I'm reading a book co-written by Archbishop Desmond Tutu and the Dalai Lama. And these spiritual leaders are incredible humans, first of all. And what they have, this one's called The Book of Joy. And it's like, I'm a happy person. So I like reading a lot of books on a lot of different topics. But also I just recently started microdosing psilocybin. So that's a new thing. I'm only in week 3 right now. So we'll see where that goes. I'm growing my own mushrooms at home. And I think there's a lot of different things. We're taking DBSA where it's next chapter of where it's going. I also volunteer pretty extensively with Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve. I'm the Military Outreach Director for Colorado. So that takes up a good bit of my time, but I'm also focusing on myself. And this weekend I'm going to Valley View Hot Springs to spend the weekend. And then the next weekend I'm going to Monte Vista to the Crane Festival. And I'm going to be doing a triathlon in June in Boulder. So I like having a lot of different things going on. I try not to be overwhelmed by this, but if you're not enjoying life, then there's changes that you can make.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mentally strong coaching is not going to necessarily fix your bipolar, but it gives you that foundation of mental strength. Are you able to think through what's going on? Organize it. If that means getting the diagnosis that you need, taking the medication, but then also choosing. The Mentally Strong Method is a flywheel for mental strength. Whether you are the loved one of someone with bipolar or you have bipolar, learning mental strength as part of your journey is a positive. If you click the link in the description, come to my free training on how do you think through your problems, organize them, and make choices in line with what you want.